done 12 businesses before Body Organics, but I think I always tell people in life, when you find what you have been destined to do, you feel like you've come home. You can find where you do so many, because a lot of those businesses, not that they were bad, but I just found out that, oh, I do this one, any little challenge, I pack up. I've sold flight tickets. I've sold GSM phone. I've sold spy camera. I've sold kids' pajamas. Oh, what haven't I done? I have a lot to.
Hey guys, welcome to How They Did It with TriciaBiz. On this show, I take you behind the scenes of successful African entrepreneurs, change makers, and creators, showing you the journeys that led to their success. Today, you can see I am right in one of the retail outlets of Body Organics. Now, this is one of Nigeria's leading clean and nature-based skincare brand. Now, this brand started on credit. And today, the brand is present in 7 African countries. I have the honor of sitting with the visionary and founder, Viola, and she'll take us behind the scenes to show us how she started and how she did it. All right, so I have the lovely, the beautiful, just take a look. Viola here from Body Organics. It's so good to have you, sis.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being
We've
here.
We've scheduled this interview.
Yes.
I'm very glad that it's happening because we need to tell the story of your brand.
Yes, it's about time.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
How old is Body Organics?
I was about to say that officially this is 10 years.
Oh wow.
Unofficially, this is about 12 years.
Okay.
Yes. And of course, it's been a roller coaster. It has been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Yes. We started 12 years ago.
Okay.
I know most people wouldn't, or you wouldn't believe this, but we started this business on credit.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
How did it start? Now, I used to own a shoe store.
Okay.
About 13 years ago, I started it. Then there was no internet. And then those Blackberries came. Tricia, the business just
Thanks.
because a lot of my clients now could buy those shoes on their phones. So we were having where a lot of clients would say, okay, you tell them this is the price of the shoe. They say, oh, I could see it online, this amount, this amount. We kept on going. Then I had this client, I don't even know where she is. She said one day that she had this soap that she sold, that is it possible she could just shelf in the store, in the shoe store? And I was like, okay, no problem. My clients are women, is a soap for women. She shelved it. After a month or two, I realized people were no longer coming for the shoes. They were now coming for that soap. People kept on coming for the soap. So what now happened, what we started doing was, she gives me the soap on credit. I sell and give her back the money. After 6 months to get in the year, I packed all the shoes, gave them out, and started doing the soap full time. That was how I started this. It didn't even have a name. It didn't have a name when I started. So after about a year, I was doing the credit. I sell, I give her back, sell, give her back. The usual quality control. People started complaining about her soap. So I got people who were buying the soap, they weren't coming back.
Okay.
But since I had already started doing it as a full-time business, I had to sit and think, okay, one thing I always know in business, when you get to a challenge, there are 2 things that happen. Either there is a circumstance that whatever you do at that time either projects you or you sink. So it was at that point, people were no longer coming back for that soap. I had to sit down and say, no, I'm going to structure this and make a business out of it. What did I now do? I went to the US and learned how to make, there's this white soap, one goat's milk soap.
Yeah.
That was the first soap. Yes. That was our first soap. So I went to learn how to make that soap. Why? Because I needed to quickly replace this woman's soap that she didn't want to do anything about the quality. So I started, but I now realized that, Tricia, I had 2 little kids at that time, right? I'll be making soap till 4 a.m. And I'll be awake. I had to wake up at 6 again to get my kids ready for school. It was not sustainable because I wasn't able to market the business. I spent my whole time making, sometimes in a day, I'll make 1,000, 2,000. It's gone the next day.
Wow.
The same thing. I said no. What we had to do was to find a factory that could now handle the volume while I focus on the business aspect. Because if I had continued making this soap in my kitchen, I probably wouldn't have grown as big as. So we found a factory who started making the soap. People started asking for lotions. We got the factory who made the lotions. And that was how we just
Started.
So it wasn't like I sat down and said, oh, I have to sell soap. Oh, I have to sell cream. It was the lady who had approached me at that time. And why I actually embraced it was, after I had my son, I had real skin issues. And because her soap was this local, and it was really good. It was fantastic. You need to have seen how the thing cleared my skin. I embraced selling it. So that was how I found myself into the skincare. Before then, Tricia, if I tell you I've done 12 businesses in my life before Body Organics, but that's sorry for another day. I've done 12 businesses before Body Organics. But I think I always tell people in life, when you find what you have been destined to do, you feel like you've come home. You can find where you do so many, because a lot of those businesses, not that they were bad, but I just found out that, oh, I do this one, any little challenge, I pack up. I've sold flight tickets. I've sold GSM phone. I've sold spy camera. I've sold kids' pajamas. Oh, what haven't I done? I have a lot too. I've done a lot. I've done furniture. I've done hotel booking. I even saw the complimentary card one. I've done a lot. But I've even done shipping. I've done a lot. So it's not that this business weren't making money, but when the challenges came, I ditched and jumped because I had not gotten home. When you get home, I've had bigger challenges in this business, but I don't think there are things.
Because it's home.
Yes, because that's the word. Because yes. So that's basically the story, how we got.
How you started.
How I started. And it hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, so what's unique about Body Organics? Because skincare seems to be like what everybody's going into, because it's low barrier to entry. Anybody can just formulate and slap a name behind it. So every day there's multitudes of competitors entering the business. So what stands out your brand that people keep coming over and over again for it?
Yeah, that is what you're describing is what is happening now. When we started 10 years ago, it wasn't this way.
It wasn't this way.
Yeah, it wasn't this way. We're basically, I think in Nigeria, we're one of the pioneers of indigenous skincare brands.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago. And one thing I always, the vision and the idea behind our brand is clean skincare. Why? What that means is, I always make sure that every ingredient that goes into our products, right, are ingredients that are as close to nature as possible.
Okay.
Now, sometimes that affects our price points, but what makes our brand different from indigenous and most skincare brands you find in Africa is the fact that for commercial quantities, if you're going to use products that are wholly nature-based, for example, if you say, I want to use alpha arbutin and you're going to make them in hundreds of thousands of millions, it's going to cost a lot of money. So these labs have done substitutes for for this natural,
Yes, natural
yes,
products.
natural products, which allows most companies who do skincare to scale in volumes without it
Okay.
affecting the bottom line.
Okay.
But we have tried to act, which is why most people say, "Oh, their products are expensive." Oh, they because we, despite this, we are sticking to the fact that if it's going to give us 100,000 at so million naira or so $1,000, we do it that way and we price it that way because we believe those who see the true value in what we're selling would still embrace the brand.
Okay.
For example, now you have where there's hydroquinone, right? The natural form, alpha-arbutin. But if you want to scale commercially, hydroquinone is the best and most sensible choice.
Okay.
But is that safe long term? No. But it's cheaper as a company. For in as much as they say hydroquinone is bad and all that, right? It's something that a lot of companies use actually. A lot of companies abroad on prescription, actually, they do use them. But I feel that our brand, our voice, or our gospel is clean and nature-based skincare.
Okay.
Truly nature-based, because there's a lot of,
Yeah, organic is
truly,
the new buzzword.
yeah, organic is the new,
Yeah.
but organic is a truly nature-based skincare. That is the gospel we're trying to, and every day in our lives, we're exposed to so many chemicals as women. So why don't you have one thing that you can say you're trying to do something about, which is your cosmetic product? Because from our nails to our lashes to roll-ons to we just
Lot of
perfumes,
chemicals.
before we even step out the door, we've been exposed to a lot of chemicals. So we're trying to make a brand where we have products that are reducing the exposure to chemicals you have on a daily basis when you're caring for your skin.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So if I write on that, right, if we look at the skincare industry as it is now, especially in Nigeria, we see that there's the same type of marketing happening, right? So most of the brands use influencers, and there's the argument on the streets on, I know this influencer does not use this product, but anyway, that's what is happening. But I've seen that you've decided to zag where everybody else is zigging, which is you've gone in a different direction to market your product. So can I ask why you decided to go the opposite side of the entire industry or a chunk of the industry?
That question. Yes, because I think about 2 years ago, there was this real craze about using influencers. I was under a lot of pressure, by the management in this company, in our company. Oh, they said we need to do influencers. That is what's going on. That is what everybody's doing. But it wasn't the vision or the brand I was trying to build. I always say that Body Organics should be a brand that is that drives itself, in the sense
Okay.
that the kind of company I want to build is where people buy my products because they have seen your skin. People who know you, people who know me, not a celebrity brand, an every woman kind of brand.
Okay.
That is what we're trying to build. We do something like that, but it's more like I don't know, it's not called influencership, but we have clients who have brought in much more people than celebrities, and they didn't even have to do a lot of talking. It's just because people saw their
The
skin.
results.
And that is what I feel that is what actually helps your brand, the longevity of, like, the long term, because people are more like Tricia, for example. The people who know you personally are more likely to buy this product because they saw what it did for you. Now, they are more likely to use it long term because they can relate to what it's doing for you. And if you come tomorrow and say, oh, no, Body Organics, they have something different and it's better, I didn't need to pay you. They will switch to that. But a celebrity has to be paid all the
Continuously.
time to actually tell this, oh, this is the new one. Oh, this is the new one. Oh, no, it doesn't. So it's a brand that drives. I like a consumer-based, let the consumers drive.
Consumer-led.
Which is why we focus on the quality of what we put out. Which is why we focus so much on what is in our products, which is why we focus on how the brand presents what we offer to the market. Why I say that is, of course, we all know how the dollar suddenly went crazy. So we're under a lot of pressure, Tricia. Why? Because this packaging, everything is imported.
Yes.
So we had this meeting where they said, let us do away with the packaging. It's going to reduce our overheads. But that is not the brand we're trying to build. Because I'm very particular about the quality of what we're putting out there, regardless of the circumstance, of the challenges, because I believe those who feel or who see or who appreciate this quality would embrace the brand. We have the community of those people who actually are looking out for these products that are high quality, quite potent, and safe for the skin without looking at the price point.
This is me interrupting your watch time to tell you to like this video, share it, and also subscribe to my channel. You're still watching How They Did It with TriciaBiz. So let's talk about marketing. What have been the strategies that has really helped the brand scale beyond word of mouth?
Yeah, beyond word of mouth. We do a lot of digital marketing.
Okay.
More so, yeah, we invest heavily in digital marketing. Every market that we play in. Okay. We do digital marketing. We do billboards as well.
Billboards?
Yes. And I think more so I still come back to referral. Most of our referral drives a lot of our markets, and I don't think I'll stand here and not say the grace of God, because I think everyone who has been successful to some level, right, in life, I think you owe it to a greater being, which is God. Yeah. So God has actually played a major role, and I always say, this company is for God's glory. So I think God has actually played a very big role, because we've had several obstacles, for example, when COVID came, I think that was one of the periods where if I didn't get high BP, I can't get high BP again in life, because it's, when you're operating large, you have a lot to lose when uncertainties like COVID happened. So we had to shut down every store, and then we had about 14 stores. The rents were running, staff had to be paid, so it was quite an uncertain period. But what happened at that time, what I did at that time was, when lockdown came, this was the last place to shut down. I think we closed a day after lockdown or so. I went on my knees and prayed and said, God, we don't know what is going to happen. We don't see how we're going to navigate out of this current situation where every aspect of the business had shut down. But God, go with us and go with me. So what I did, I'm not in retail. I took over retail. Every single retail that was done during lockdown, I was the one who took the order. I was in the DM, I was on the phone.
Wow.
Because the call centers were shut down. So what I did was, I took out all the SIMs from the call centers. There were about 12. So I had 12 phones. As I'm picking this, I'm picking the other one. I was on the email. It was crazy. But the good thing we had then was that the people who were at the warehouse, they had an accommodation.
Okay. So they locked down there.
What I was now doing was emailing them the orders, and then DHL was working. that was the only way we survived at that point. And digital marketing, Instagram ads, and all that. That was what. So I think digital marketing and God, and God. I think
Okay.
that's basically it.
Fantastic. So what challenges have you faced running this business for officially 10 and officially 12 years?
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Hi,
If I
challenges.
say okay, pick your top 3 challenges. Yeah. What would they be? And
Top
how did you
three from the
navigate
top of my head. Right now, our pain is forex.
Forex?
Yes. Then staffing.
Mm.
Yeah, staffing.
What about staffing?
Um, I think staffing is a problem. I think it cuts across a lot of businesses here.
Everybody says
Yeah,
staffing,
yeah,
yes.
staffing. Staffing is a problem here, but you can't plan with staff here. Most staff,
Oh.
yeah, yes. Why I say it is that, like I always tell people, the kind of business I want to build is a business where someday I can step down and someone who rose through the ranks will take over. But you can't see people who are keen into the vision, who are, most of them are there for how it could be for that day and the next day, and so these are the issues. But staffing is a problem, although I've been blessed to get good staff, because I've been blessed to get good staff because, like I tell you, before I hire
So
character.
character, yeah.
So sometimes if you're in an interview, the kind of questions I ask are, we have the HR who does all the technical, but I like to know where you're coming from, so that I know, for example, the kind of challenges, because we can't separate ourselves from our jobs.
Yes.
Like, for example, I ask, how far, any challenge did you experience before you got to this office? Some people say I took 5 buses. I took 20 buses. Madam, it was hard though. So now, if I'm hiring you, I already know the kind of challenges I'm going to expect. If you say you have a child, I ask you, where did you drop your child before you got to work? So, these are the things that you have to. So I always hire character, hire the human, so that I can know what your challenges are and how to, meet you at the points where you have to deliver your job. But staffing is a problem. It's a lot of headache. We've had the good, we've had the bad. And let me see, what's the third one? I think generally, the third one generally for me would be, I don't think I see challenges. I don't see
What do you
challenge
see?
opportunities. I don't think I would say I see challenges. This is one issue I have usually with my husband. He will tell me that the problem he has with me is that I don't see the risk. I don't see the, he's more of a risk averse person. I don't see risk. I see challenges. You understand? I don't see challenges or risk. I see opportunities in any situation I find myself. So even when I say staffing, sometimes if something happens, I don't tie it to the staff. I always ask the managers and say, isolate that situation and come up with a policy where it doesn't occur again. So I don't attach to people. So I see opportunities, but doing business in Nigeria, not being able to plan should be one of the, you don't know what you're going to wake up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody else said
Yeah.
give us that
You don't
same
know.
challenge. Planning.
Yes, you don't know, like, from when you wake up to when you sleep, you're not sure of what you're going to deal with. Or they'll call you that, they've locked this shop because there's radio license. You say, but didn't you pay the license? They say they increase, all those kind of things that, so you can't plan. I think that's basically the challenge I have doing business here. And let me see, in other locations outside Africa, it's staffing still.
Still staffing.
Yeah, it's still staffing I have. And since they're like new markets and we're still starting afresh there, I think marketing should be one of the challenges in these new markets. Yeah, but staffing is
key
key.
across.
Yeah, I always, in business, you're only as strong as your staff. Your assets in any business you're running is your staff. That's one thing you have to know. So I'm always very particular. Like I tell them, when you are administrating, right, always have a list on your table, your weak link and your strong links. Always, at every time you administrate or you manage people, know your weak links and your strong links in your team. Then your weak links are the people you have to connect with every day. Every day. Like I tell the retail team lead, your weak links are the people you sit with every day. Oh yeah, what have you done? How did you go? What are you, every day. Your strong links are your generals, the people you push to the front to let them execute. So always, so staffing, you're only as strong as your staff in business. Yeah. And another thing is for staffing, it's very important because if your staff, you're only as good and as strong as your staff, more so when you're trying to scale to new markets. So I always look out for, I don't hire skill more so, I hire character.
Hire for character.
I hire for character. Why? Because these are your foot soldiers in these places. Character, being teachable, has everything to do with your character, I hope you know. So if you find someone who is teachable and the character and integrity is good, you will go far with that person. So these are things I look out for when I try to scale. But the main thing is, no matter what you do, don't DIY your registration.
Okay.
Don't DIY your tax and all that. So you get a consultant. So that's what I would advise.
All right.
But know your market. Not every market. You have to do your market survey, because we had a lot of markets we actually at one point wanted to go to Angola. But guess why we didn't go?
They don't use cream.
They do. They do. We eventually, I think it was a good idea and a good market, but the timing was wrong. Why? The market, the language barrier.
Okay.
The language barrier. So we said, okay, it's if we had jumped in at that point, we would have had a lot of problems where we didn't have people. Like now we have staff who speak Portuguese, who speak French, who speak, which we didn't have at that point.
Yeah.
So these are things you look into. You have to look at the markets and study the market properly. Go there. Go there is very important before you decide.
Okay. Go there.
Go there before you decide. And like I said, don't DIY. Whatever you do, don't forget that one. Do not DIY.
Drag your ear.
When you're expanding, because you will be sorry. I suffered, I know, till the consultant came in and it was easy for us to
move from there.
to scale, yes.
So let's talk about innovation. How many products do you have? And how do you come up with the next one and the next one? This is hydrating serum, there's vitamin C serum, there's all sorts. So what's that process? How does the brand innovate to bring all the fantastic products? And since you have a large product line, don't they cannibalize each other?
Every January, we go through our SKUs and kill off some. Based on how they performed. So that's why you have people who said, oh, I really like this product. Why did you stop it? So it's usually from a point of, and again, with skincare, there's always something new.
This is my fave.
Yes, vitamin C serum. It's a bestseller. There are still products that, like these ones, there are still products we've had for the past 10 years. It's been the same.
Yeah, and that's our scrub that is we're always looking for.
Yes. So those products, year in, year out, are bestsellers.
Okay.
But what actually makes us keep a product on shelf or kill it is how it performed during the year.
Okay.
It might be a fantastic product. It might be wonderful. But if the numbers are not... don't add up, we have to kill the product. So that's usually what we do. So in theory, we might have 100 SKUs, but in production, we'll probably be having 40 or 50 for that year. You understand? Okay. Killing it doesn't mean that we still have it as our product. We own the trademarks, we own the formulas, we own everything, but we're just not producing.
In circulation.
There are products that after 3-4 years, we bring them back. We bring them back. But maybe we bring them back reformulated, we bring them back with something different. So we have that. How do we, our product development process? We work with a company in the US who does product development for us.
Okay.
So basically, what they do is their job actually is a product development factory. So companies come to them and say, okay, like now, for example, CMOS is the new big thing in skincare. We say, okay, we need products that you have with CMOS. So they come up, they send you samples. So every day, hi ma'am, we have this, hi ma'am, we have this. So you just keep trying till you get exactly what you want. And then you now have to now start the process of trademarking, have the process of paying for the formula. They usually give you an option. If you pay for the formula, you own the product. If you don't pay for the formula, they have the right
To resell it to anybody. So 10 people may have the same formula.
But they might just call it different names. So
Mm-hmm.
that's usually what happens. But we always try to own every single product that we have the formulas for. So that's how we come up with all our product offering in the market. Yes, we've even had where, like I told you, when the dollar went up. Remember, we used to have some lotions that we sold, the toning lotion, all those lotions. Because of the cost of producing them, so we've had to kill a lot of those products that cost so much to produce.
Okay.
But the good thing was that we had already had better lotions that were already coming in, but they were not developed at that point. They were still in the pipeline. So the lucky thing was that as these ones were being completed, we now realized that we had to retire those products. So we're like, okay, it wasn't such a bad idea. So we moved to this other lotions because, we had new sets of lotions and we stopped selling the old ones. Okay. Yeah. But funny enough, people prefer these new lotions to the old ones. Yes. So we use product development companies in the US to come up with our products.
Innovation.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Innovation. So what are the, I don't want to use the word acceptable, but what would you advise if I was in skincare should be my average gross margins? So to run a healthy business.
Rephrase the question.
Okay, so let me try to rephrase. Now, you said you look at performance, cost of production, etc., to kill some products. So, what's the accepted average gross margin for your products?
It depends. Because, we have some lines that are high-end lines.
Okay.
And then we have the regular
The average
bath and body lines.
Okay.
So for the high-end lines, usually you should be looking at maybe 30.
Oh, that low?
40%. Okay. Yeah, because they cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's really how much you understand.
So much you can charge for it.
But for the other ones, you can go as high as 60, 70. Okay. Yeah, for the bottom.
I used to think it was the high end that was where the most of the money was. No.
Because most of our high-end products, for it to come in at that amount of money, it costs actually a lot to make them. So there's really, the margin is not so much anymore left for you to increase further.
Okay. Okay, so we're standing in one of your retail spaces, and you have over 13 of these across the different markets. Yes. So what structures and systems have you put in place to help for effective monitoring?
We do a lot of policy and operating procedure.
Okay.
Every single retail unit has a standard operating procedure document, and that document is not tied to any person. It's tied to the department and the unit, down to even how the tables are cleaned, how everything is done. So when anybody comes in, they pick the document and they know how to execute. And anytime like I told you, if we have any challenges or any circumstances in operations or the day-to-day running, what we do is we come back and draft a policy document so that
it helps mitigate it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in future across all location. So that's what we usually do. So we do a lot of policy structure, operating procedures, and all that.
Okay. What of how are you embedding technology into helping with the supervision as well?
Oh, okay. We do have, we use a lot of team management softwares.
Okay.
We use a lot of team reporting softwares. We use a lot of retail softwares
Okay.
where at a glance
You can see what's
you
going
can
on
see
across
exactly.
board.
Yeah, so that's what we do. So it's usually easier for managers to plug in from wherever they are to see what is happening at every location and how teams actually even log in and we track their progress and their goals and all that. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So how do you manage this giant conglomerate? Add it to motherhood, add it to wifehood, and every other hood. How do you balance and
Support system.
manage?
I think support system more so because my kids, which is why I delegate a lot.
Okay.
And I also try to make sure that I have a structure that works for me where I let the managers
Lead.
so that way I only come in. For example, if I have to travel, it's probably is a new market.
Okay.
But after all the work is done, I usually, like most times I don't go back there for years, but it's still running because the managers now take over. So for me to actually have to do a lot of involvement is where it's something new that hasn't been done. So once they see me do it, they key in. And like I told you earlier on, every single thing has a procedure document. Everything I do, even this kiosk, there's a procedure document how it's built. All our stores, so that even if I'm not there, anybody can pick up and know
Run with it.
and run with it. Yeah, so that's usually how I'm able to manage structure, policy. Before I had structure, it was a madhouse. Yeah, but structure helps you to scale. Yeah, helps
Okay.
you. For example, there are stores that I have maybe in Nigeria. I have stores in Nigeria I haven't been to.
Okay.
Yes, but we have managers who have gone there and set them up and they're running for years.
What's the one thing that you look out for, location-wise, when you're trying to get in retail space?
Location is everything.
Okay.
Location is everything in retail. So you have to. What I do actually is in every space or in any city, we look for the big brands. Where are they?
Where are they situated?
Where are they playing? You understand? So we try to narrow it down to what are their three most high traffic locations. Then we now know that this is where the market is. Why? Because there's this saying that if you want to go any road, ask someone who has gone that
There.
way. So there are these big brands that have been there, done that, most times. In as much as we have a real estate consultant that we do all the market survey and all that, but I always say in business, paperwork is different from experience. So we always we come there and see what the market is like.
Okay. So how are you managing inflation? How are you managing FX, seeing as you manufacture outside Nigeria? One. And the second part to that is there have been arguments around if manufacturing is happening outside the country, do we still call it an indigenous brand?
Okay. I think we do have a factory here.
Okay.
Yes, we opened in 2020.
Okay.
Yes, it's actually quite a big facility. We got NAFDAC. They came in and approved the
Inspected
facility and did all
that.
that. But we are only test running with 4 products.
Okay.
Why? Because I always say the long-term vision is to bring the brand home. That's the long-term vision. But then we still find that every ingredient for those 4 products, we still import them.
Import all the ingredients.
We import the packaging. We import everything because we had tried locally and we couldn't meet the
Quality.
But eventually, we're going to set up another factory for packaging. So we don't have to bring in those. But so far, I think it has been a good move, the factory for those 4 products that we're doing locally here, because it had cut down the labor costs Where we manufacture, we're charged 50 cents to label per product, 50 cents to put it in a carton. So imagine when you're doing hundreds of thousands. But we don't have that when we now do them here. Yeah, when we now do them here. So that's the long term. So when the dollar went up, we had to recapitalize. Because we woke up one day and the dollar had gone from 300 to 500 overnight. Tricia, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. Why? Because what had now happened was that these products were all priced at that 300.
Yes.
And overnight, it was now 500 within 1 week. So we had to go back to the bank to recapitalize so we could stay afloat. Now, I always say, like I said earlier, if you get to a point where you are in a fix in business, there are either two things that happen. You either sink or it projects you further. So what did I now do? I sat down and thought. I think that was two years ago when that happened. The only way for us to scale was to have other branches that could support our Forex need outside the country.
Okay.
We already had the US and the UK stores and all that, but the locations in the US and UK, but they weren't full. Like, it wasn't something, most of our operations were here. This was our biggest market. We already had the Ghana store, but we didn't really put so much infrastructure in all these other places because this was our biggest market and we're quite comfortable. So that's particular point where we had to go back to the bank to borrow money to stay afloat now made me decide that I think this gospel has to go to other countries. I think we had a meeting then.
Yes.
Yes. When that idea was born. And I think, and another reason, and I think, before I get to the second thing I wanted to say, I think that move actually has helped us stay afloat. Because what is now happening is like a synergy. For example, it's as much as those other locations are coming up and all that, but if, for example, we're not able to meet up with our Forex need here, the people in Ghana can put in the order for the products. Then the other stores go to Ghana to pick
up.
That's what happens. If we can't meet up, the people in South Africa. So it's easier for us to now, as against where we just had Nigeria. So it's been, I think that move it wasn't an easy one, but I think that move has helped us to manage the challenge of our Forex. Yeah.
Moving to other markets. So right now you're in 7 African markets?
We're in Ghana.
So Nigeria, Ghana,
Botswana, Namibia,
Kenya,
Zambia, and South Africa.
So 7 markets. Wow.
Yeah, we're in South Africa. But it hasn't been easy.
It hasn't been easy.
It hasn't been easy.
So talk to us about entering other markets as a Nigerian. Because even though we're all Africans, there's still the trust factor of trusting Nigerians, right? So how's that journey been? And if I'm a business owner, irrespective of my industry, what steps would you give me as advice if I wanted to go out into other markets?
I think for us, how we're able to scale the African markets was because we had already done a lot of work in the UK and US. We're already operating in these other markets. So it was easy for us to come into these markets we use the group, which holds these other places. So it was easy for us to, go into these other markets from the parents, the group company. But we still had there's this general, I don't want to use the word distrust, but Africans are suspicious of Nigerians. But from my experience doing business there, I think we still have dishonest people. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, yes.
It's not just Nigeria. They're everywhere.
It's a human thing.
It's a human thing. But I'm not really sure why. Maybe because of our population, there are a lot of us and we're quite active online, and, you know, it's the probability of, and we travel a lot. So the probability of you encountering a Nigerian is quite higher as against this people. A lot of them don't travel a lot. You know, like most of them, the first times they're leaving their countries are because of we're hiring them and they're coming to Nigeria, they're going to Ghana, but most of them don't leave. But if you hire 10 Nigerians, at least 2 or 3 of them have gone to Ghana or gone to Benin Republic, or we travel a lot. But they're dishonest people everywhere. It's not a Nigerian thing. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've been duped in the course of all this. You know, we even had staff in all these countries who steal products, some who steal money, so it's not a Nigerian thing, no, from my experience. But it hasn't been. I think I've not really had any bad experience that is different from what I've had running a business here.
Yeah.
But one thing I could say is that it's a more structured business environment.
Okay.
Yeah, in some of these other places than it is here.
Interesting. So what steps or what advice would you give people who are intending to go into other markets?
First of all, you need to do your market analysis.
Okay. One, market analysis.
Yes. Then the products. Although a lot of all these other countries, the competition is not as fierce, because whatever you're selling, I think Nigeria is a very advanced, Nigeria is a very developed market, so you can't compare the competition in all those places. Then the second of all is don't DIY.
Okay, don't DIY.
Always use a consultant.
Okay.
Who knows
the terrain.
Because I know how much we've lost trying to
do it ourselves.
Yes. So, but since we're able to work with consultants, we've been able to scale, and it's pretty much, you know, it's more expensive anyway, but it's the best way to save you money, headache, time when trying to open in all these other countries.
So final words, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their business, you know, scale it to their first $1 million or beyond, you know, and working in Africa? What would you say to them?
One, they have to be ready to do the hard work. You know, there's no part of this business I don't know how to do, except maybe ride a bike for delivery. But every single part of the business, I always tell the managers, before you ask somebody to do something that you supervise, know how to do that thing. So first, you must know your business down to every single nitty-gritty of your business. That's the first thing. Be ready to do the hard work. Be ready to put in the work. Be ready to understand that there are going to be down times, low, and, you know, and you what's the word now? You tough it out.
Okay.
Yes, and be ready to know that the unexpected in business, especially when you're setting up, can happen over and over again. But that doesn't also mean, like I told you, always know when to pack up. I've had stores. I had a store in Enugu, but in 6 months, we saw that this wasn't going anywhere.
Wasn't gonna work.
So we won't say because we're body organics, you pack up and go. Always know when that road you're going in business is not leading you anywhere. You pack up and leave. So these are and the God factor. You know, I always say, for me, I think God has brought me this far. Without God, I wouldn't have come this far. You know, so I think God in particular, pray to God to lead you to lead you home.
Okay.
You know, I told you, when you find your home in business,
yeah.
I think that's basically the key point. God should lead you to what he has destined for you to do in life.
Okay. And that is it. Thank you so much, Viola, for coming on the show. Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure.
So, guys, until I come your way
I'm
again,
such a hugger.
at the next episode, peace out. Toodles.